Well, hello everyone. Good afternoon. I am excited. And welcome to season 7 of Issues and Answers with yours truly, Honorable Valencia Stovall. And of course, we have another exciting episode for you all. And actually, as you can see, I'm in another location. I'm live in Clayton County at a secret location. I won't tell you where I am, but I'm at a secret location. But today is October the 3rd, and you are listening to the new WCEG Network, WCEGTalkRadio.com. We're the worldwide community empowerment group where we speak life into the community. And of course, I have to give this disclaimer, especially today. The topics and opinions are those of the show host, which is myself and guests, and not WCEG Network. Like us on Facebook. You can follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and WCEG_talk_radio and WCEG Network. And we appreciate your continued support, and make sure you tell a friend. Well, okay, today's episode is going to focus on what about our children? Where are the parents and who is influencing our children? And you may say, what? Yes, there's some parents that are absent. When I say absent, I don't mean that you can't find them, but they're absent when it comes down to participating and making sure they're paying attention to what's going on with their children, and also with what they're doing and who they're hanging out with, their friends, where they're going. We have a lot of parents that are absent from what's going on with their children. So that's what's going to be our topic today. And hopefully you'll be inspired. I know it's not you. I know you're not that parent I'm going to be talking about, but you know some parents that fall into that category. So make sure you are taking the information back to them and share it with them. So of course, as a parent, I'm a parent of 2 adult children. And I always say, I don't know if you still say children when they're adult, but I hear everybody else saying it. So I'm the parent of 2 adult children, one daughter who's 25 and a son who's 30. And of course, I know the importance of parental involvement in all aspects of your childhood, of their childhood. And now, even now as adults, they're still needed, but not as important. Let them tell it, but you all know, those of you all who have adult children. Our underage children are a reflection of their parents, their family, and their environment. There are so many competing factors which make it difficult for parents to keep up. You know, there are a lot of things that are going on with our young people that make it difficult for our parents to actually keep up with what's really going on. But parents, you have to have an obligation. You have an obligation to keep up with your children in school and at home. You have to stay in the know, that's quote unquote, on technology. Yes, there's a lot going on with technology, with a lot of slang terms that the kids are using. Making sure you're paying attention. Who are their friends? Who are they in a relationship with? What activities they are involved in and with whom? Simultaneously, parents, you have to keep yourself as stable as possible and oftentimes hit the refresh button. And many times our parents mistakenly give children adult roles and then try to take them back. And I see that a lot. You know, I told you all I was been substituting for this is my 2nd year now. And I see that happen a lot in these classrooms where the children are taking on adult roles. And some of them are having to go home when they leave school to take care of younger brothers and sisters as if they are the adults. And that should not be the case for our young people. Like my dad used to always tell us, me and my sisters and I, that I want you to be a child while you are able to be a child. And that's what he stressed, and made sure he and my mother both made sure that we stay in a child's place and we had fun as a child. But many of our kids today are not given that opportunity for whatever reason. And guess what? Parents, it's up to you to make sure your children are given a good, healthy, and happy childhood. Now, one of the things I've observed when it comes down to students and teacher relationship as well as child and parent relationship. I've noticed some things that I'm just in awe. I just cannot believe some of the things I've seen with students and the children relating to their parents, and even the students relating to the teachers. I'm gonna ask that question again. Where are the parents? Who is influencing the behavior of the children? Okay, let's start with what is happening in the households. So what children see or they hear, they will mimic. That means they're gonna imitate what they hear or see. We have some kids that come to school using profanity or even out in the street. They didn't just, some of them may have picked up on social media, but some of them they're probably hearing at home, especially how some of them are using profanity as if they are adults. And so whether good or bad, they're gonna pick up those habits. Parents, you must be mindful at all times of what is being said and done in the presence of not only your children, but other people's children who may be up under your care. The last episode, of course, I talked briefly about mental health crisis among the students, and it's real. I see it every day. I had a student even today that was sharing with me that he failed, or some other stuff that happened with his cousin, and he was just talking. And a lot of times the children, some of I'm pretty sure was just some stuff he probably made up, but other stuff might have been actually happened. And then being able to have children to be able to come to you and confide or feel comfortable that they can share things with you makes a difference. And as a parent, that's something that you have to strive for, that your children should be able to come and talk to you about whatever situation it is and not have to go out and talk to a stranger. That's one thing I can say about my mom and my dad, especially my dad. He had always a welcome, open door, no matter what that we may have done that we thought was unforgivable. We can always come and talk with our dad about that situation. And that's what we need. A lot of these children don't have anyone to talk to. And because they don't have anyone to talk to, they talk to their friends. How are they going to get advice from a friend that's the same age as them, that has not experienced anything in life, but that's who they're turning to about their friends about everything. And a lot of times, these children are facing enormous peer pressure to be like someone else, and who at many times it's a fantasy lifestyle. So, you know, we have to make sure that the parents, you're monitoring how much time they're using on those cell phones, on social media. And even when they're using them, you have to be the person or the parent that comes back and strengthens that relationship by telling them what's really reality and what's fantasy. Many of them are getting caught up with fantasy and not understanding there's a reality behind it. Nobody just woke up and just said, hey, this is the money I'm gonna make. They had to work hard for it, for whatever it is that they're doing. Even those people that are famous, they had to work hard and continue to work hard. So, you know, making sure that our children understand the difference between fantasy and reality, because many of them need some reality checks. And oh my goodness, those cell phones, woo, they get a lot of children in trouble, both the smart children and those who are disrespectful to authority. Yes, I'm sorry to say we do have children that do not respect authority. And we constantly talk to them, you know, about that, understanding that there are rules and you have to follow rules. But some of them don't believe that. Some of them, I don't think even have rules at home, that the parents allow them to do whatever they want to do. And it shows up when they come, not just to school, when they come out into the public and all those things. It shows, I go back again, what your children are mimic you, who you are, not 100%, but it mimics a lot. As far as what we used to say back in the day, home training. Did your child have any home training? Many of them, I don't know where they get the training from, because it's sure not from those homes like they should be. And so parents, we have a huge responsibility. They are clueless about consequences. So parents, where are you? Who is influencing your children? You have to make sure you're paying attention to that. For example, let's talk about sexting, sexting, which is illegal in Georgia and contributes to a lot of bullying. We knew as children, when we were small in school, it's a whole nother level when it comes to bullying. Our bullying when we were in school was, okay, I'm gonna fight you after school, or I might fight you during school. You hit me first, I'm gonna hit you back. And that was kind of it. And you got into a fight. But now this bullying was mixed in with social media, and the extent that some of these kids have, they're so violent, like they have so much anger on the inside of them. The children just were not born with anger like they have it. They weren't born. That's a learned behavior that they have. And it's the environment on which they grew up in. We have to be able to learn and maybe also show our children more love. And that's why they're so violent. They're so violent. They're just violent. That's all I can say, just violent. And so they want to use guns, knives, and then also, you know, we used to hear the word, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Well, I think we're gonna have to rephrase that particular phrase a little bit, because those words that are coming from that cell phone usage and social media are hurting our children. They don't know how to decipher between, oh, they just want to be seen, or they jealous of me, or they envious, or they might be some situations going on in their home. They're not mature enough, their minds are not mature enough to understand, ignore it. And even if you tell them they're not going to ignore it, they feel they have to retaliate back. Parents, where are the parents? Who is influencing the behavior of your children? And it's showing up. And even those good students who come in, you can tell their parents have given them some home training. When they mix in with those others, it's almost like you're trying to figure out, is that my child, or is that child that came in quiet during the first period of the school year? Even if you meet the child, it's not like that. They just so easily influenced. And so as parents, you have to continue every day, all day, instill into your children who they are, and them being proud of who they are. Because if not, they're going to start listening to their friends who may not be getting the same message as your child is getting. And then if they have friends, then you start talking to their friends about them understanding how important they are and that they have a purpose. Many of these kids don't believe that because they're going through so much at home. But that's the adults. That's the adults' fault. It's the adults' fault. It's not the children, because they weren't born like that. It's the adults. And so making sure that we are monitoring on social media, and there has to be some type of obligation to those who are putting those things out into social media as well. Now, parents, we'll get back to this sexting. According to an article by criminal defense lawyer Gregory Chance, and I don't know Attorney Chance's, I did some research and I found this article. The state of Georgia has some of the most severe sex crime penalties in the United States, including harsh prison sentences, mandatory sex offender registration, and residential restrictions that prevent offenders from ever working or living within 1,000 feet of parks, schools, or any other place where children gather. Did y'all hear that? So if you get convicted or found guilty of any of those sex crimes, there are very harsh prison sentences, mandatory sex offender register. That means you have to register on the sex offenders on this list. Any time somebody can look it up to see who you are, and you cannot live or work within 1,000 feet of a park, because that's where children are. Schools, where children are. Many times churches, because guess what? That's where children are. Recreation centers, that's where children are. So you can't go, you can't work, you can't live in those places. Internet sex crimes usually involve online communication using an internet-connected device with online services such as email, text messaging, direct messaging, messaging in chat rooms, emailing, and others. According to OCGA, which is the official code of Georgia annotated. So I remember me telling you, every time a law is signed into existence by the governor, or if it sits on his or her desk over the 40 days, it becomes law. Then they're put into a code, and each code is called a title. So this particular code is 16-12-100.1, It is against the law in Georgia for an individual to send sexually explicit messages, videos, or images to anyone under the age of 18. Now, if you're an adult, you're over 18 and older, and the other person is consenting, then I'm not talking to you. We're talking about children that are under the age of 18. In Georgia, there are 3 criminal statutes that are dedicated to prosecuting individuals who engage in sexually explicit communications with children on the internet. Okay, parents, where are you? Who is influencing your children? Because they get that phone and you let them go in the other room and you think that you're getting them out your hair, they're bothering you, go in the other room. You don't have parental control on those devices. You don't know who your child is talking to. You don't know what age those other individuals are. And you have individuals that are sick-minded that seek after young children because they know that they're not mature enough to be able to make decisions. And children want to be loved, they want to be complimented and all those things. And so that's what usually happens when you're taking your eye off of your children. So those 3 criminal statutes are soliciting minors to send sexual images, sending sexual images or videos to minors, and interacting with minors on the internet to engage in sexual conduct. Although an adult is permitted to engage in consensual sexual intercourse with a 16 or 17-year-old, it is a felony to send explicit content to anyone under the age of 18 years of age. Sexting is a criminal offense when a minor is involved, regardless if the minor has consented. So what? A minor can't consent to anything. They're not old enough to consent. So if someone is sending, and this is to another child, sending something to another child, because both of them are under 18. And because in Georgia, anyone under the age of 18 cannot provide consent to sexual behavior or sexting. According to another article by ABT Law Firm, I don't know who that law firm is, this is research I did. In Georgia, a teen can be found guilty of a misdemeanor if they take or possess a nude or sexually explicit image of themselves, if the following is true. Now, if your child takes or possess a nude or sexually explicit image, and they are at least 14 years old, the person in the photo is younger than 17, the person in the photo consented it to be taken and distributed. So they can be found guilty of a misdemeanor if those things that happen. If these factors are missing, the sexting will be charged as a felony. So if the child was not at least 14, the person in the photo was not younger than 17, the person in the photo consented to it being taken and distributed. If they did not, then now you're in the felony category. It's important to know that sexting can also be charged as a federal crime under the law. Parents, I'm gonna guess again, where are you? And if you have friends that are parents, you need to be spreading this word, share this video so they can hear this for themselves, because many parents are oblivious to what's going on with their children. And they think, oh, not my child, they're so sweet. Those sweet children, you get mixed in with those other children, and they start influencing because they want to belong. Then that's where trouble happens. Another factor which is common among children is drug and alcohol abuse. According to an article by JAMA Network contributors, Dr. Belcher and Dr. Shazinski, addiction develops from a complex interplay between the individual, the drugs and alcohol, and the environment. So did y'all see that? You have to have the person, the drugs and alcohol, and the environment. So the environment plays a major role in what's happening with your children. That's why I said, who is influencing? Parents, where are you? And who is influencing your children? The initiation of first drug use is determined by interactions between social, cognitive, culture, attitudinal, personality, and development factors. The earliest influences to smoke, drinking, alcohol, or use of drugs may come from the family. So remember what I said earlier? The children are mimicking what they see and what they hear. And so you have to be careful about what you do in front of your children, because they see you doing, they're going to think it's okay for them to do it. Or when their friend asks them about being involved with drugs and alcohol, oh, I saw my mom, I saw my dad, I saw my uncle, my auntie, all of those. It must be okay. It's not okay. Factors that are related to drug use during adolescence include poor self-image. That means the kids are not feeling good about themselves. It still goes back to the whole mental health crisis. And so when the children don't have self-esteem or feel good about themselves, then they end up resulting in using drugs and alcohol because they feel that that's going to give them an escape from having to deal with reality. And reality could be they're in school now, grades are getting ready to get posted. And say you have an overachieving student or child that does not like to make anything less than an A or a B. And they get it. They don't know how to handle that that's a part of life. So they turn to drugs and alcohol. Or you have another student that people always tell them, you're not going to be anything, you're ugly, or you're too big, you're this, you're that, all these negative things, that their way of escape is drugs and alcohol. Or they may be at a party, or they're going to a party with their friends, and everybody else is doing it. Everybody else is smoking, everybody else is drinking, everybody else is sexting. But you told your child this is not the right thing to do. But they're in that environment. Remember I said earlier that there are three things: the individual, the drug and alcohol, and the environment. So if they're in the environment and they see everybody else is smoking, drinking, using profanity, sexting, and they're the only ones that's not doing it, that's where peer pressure comes in. Oh, you think you're too good to do something? Why are you not doing it? She said, it's not right. My mother, my father gonna get me. I can't do it. They're not here. They're not even gonna know. And so I've seen instances of this happening to good kids whose parents raised them right, but they made the wrong choices. And sometimes for our young people, they can end up making the wrong choices at the wrong time. And that ends up affecting them for the rest of their lives. Who's to say they end up taking a sampling drugs and it become one of those addictive drugs? And now they're addicted to drugs. And now you have to go through this whole thing of having to put them in a treatment center, and they're missing time out. It's just so much. Their future ends up being very bleak because of some choices that they made. And you as parents have to continue to instill that in them, because you can't be with them all the time, unfortunately, but you can continue to instill into them those morals that even when they think about it, they're like, no, I don't want to do it. No, or just say, I'm just going to walk away. I'm going to go home. Yeah, you lame. Yeah, I'm going to be lame, but I'm not going to be in trouble. Parents, where are you? Who is influencing your children? Another thing, the factors that's related to drug use during adolescence, besides self-image, poor self-image, is poor school performance, parental rejection, family dysfunction, abuse, under or over controlling by parents, and divorce. So our children are going through so many things and they don't know how to cope. They're not having taught coping mechanisms. So what do? Reach for the first thing, whether it's suicide. If I decide I'm gonna kill myself, then guess what? They don't have to worry about me anymore and I'll be free. Or I'm gonna use this drug, I'm gonna use this alcohol to just take me away. You remember that commercial we used to hear when we were younger, Calgon, take me away. Well, that's what they want to do with drugs, alcohol, or committing suicide. But our children's future are very bright. And as parents, we have a major task. And parents, I'm not a young person parents, but you all have a big, huge challenge now with raising your children, because there's so much that's competing against you. And also they self-medicating as well. So they, you might have some prescription drugs in the house that you didn't think anything of, but you noticed that you were missing some of them, but you thinking that you may have taken them and then figured out that something that your child was actually using. So you all have to be vigilant. You have to be consistently checking those phones. You know, I had some students that tell me, "This is my phone." I said, "Oh, I didn't know you had a job because you're here all day. So I know you're not working anywhere. How you paying for a phone and you in the lower grades? Even if you're in high school and you're not working because you're in school." So those type of things that parents have told these kids that this is your phone, this is your room. No, if you want to know what's going on in that room, you better take the door off the hinge and see what's going on in your child's room, because you got to save them from this society. And if you don't save your children, who is going to save them? So yes, you have to be stricter than what your parents probably were. Or you may say, "Oh, my mother and father were just too strict. They wouldn't let me do this and that." I'm not saying put the hammer down on them, but I'm saying put the hammer down on them, because those are your responsibility. And like I said, the last episode, we were talking about mental health crisis, corporal punishment, is that there may become a time when the legislators decide that they want to now make the parents more accountable. You already have accountability court for absences. So if your child have more than 5 unexcused absences, you have to go before the judge to tell them why your child is not in school, because there is a law that's a truancy law that says that your child of a certain age has to be in school. And if they're not, they have to have a written excuse, either from the doctor or something else, other circumstance that caused them not to be in school. And so after a while, those particular laws will end up getting more stricter on parents whose kids are just, what the kids say, wilding out. So parents, you have to get control over those kids. And those parents who have control, my hat's off to you, because it is a major, major job of being able to make sure your children are doing what they're supposed to be doing. And sometimes you have to have an influence over other people's children with making sure that they know what they need to be doing. So we talked about poor school performance. That's the one reason for children using drugs. Parental rejection. Some kids are not good at handling rejection, especially from their parents. So that's why we have to make sure that we're reinforcing that love and telling our children they can be positive, that they can be somebody. We always say the sky's the limit. It doesn't matter whatever it is, and being supportive of them. So one question was that we had from the audience is, do you believe school truancy should be enforced? Yes. And I hear some parents say, "I can't do nothing with that child." That's your child. You the one brought that child up. You were the one that born that child, had that child. And these are learned behaviors. Some of them are learned behaviors from small. You cannot wait till your child is 11, 10, 11, 12, and on up, and then decide you're going to get strict or you're going to instill values in them. They've already started being influenced with not only their friends, but also social media. You all are parents, you competing with social media, you competing with something you don't even have control over. Only time you can have control is putting the parental blocks on their phone. But guess what? When they're with their friends and their friends' parents don't have parental block on it, what are you going to do then? So that's why you have to continue to instill into your child almost a fear where they say, even though my mama and dad is not present, I know they're going to find out some kind of way that I'm doing something I'm not supposed to be doing. So yes, those school truancy laws need to be enforced. Because when you have children that don't go to school, that means they're losing learning time, and they're going to end up being among those statistics that cannot read or cannot write. And then what happens is there's no way they're going to ever find a job that is well paying, that they can be able to survive off of and survive well paying jobs. They can't, because they don't have the education level. So that's why it's important for them to come to school and come to school ready. Not trying to take over the classroom from the teacher. We have some kids come in, they think they know more than the teacher. But they don't, they're very immature. But that's because at home, they're allowed to do certain things that when they have to come up on authority in school, they don't want to listen. So parents and parent rejection, family dysfunction, that's a whole nother subject all by itself. Some of our families are so dysfunctional that it affects the kids in every way. You can see, I see some kids that's sitting alone. They don't say anything. I don't know if this a real fire zone alarm or not. Okay, let's stop. I'm sorry, you all. But yeah, some families are very dysfunctional. They cuss, they use profanity towards each other. They say all kind of hateful and violent things to each other. All right, I'm gonna continue on. Hopefully you all can hear with the buzzing. Abuse, they're under or over controlling by parents, and divorce. Okay. Some cities have an ordinance of being held responsible for the action of their children, not the parents that are doing everything in their power to raise their children, but those who are not concerned about the whereabouts or actions. And I'm sorry for that background noise, y'all. I'm in another location today. Yeah, so there are some cities that have instituted curfews. And so with those curfews, they're saying to you parents, your children are not allowed, your children are not allowed to be in a public place assembling past a certain time. Now, why would a 10, 12, 14, or 15-year-old be out at 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning? What? You're supposed to be at home, get ready for school the next day. But these kids are hanging out late. So some of the local cities and ordinances say, okay, parents, you can't come and make sure your children are at home. We're going to make a policy and a law to make sure that your children are not in public places where they're wreaking havoc on regular citizens who are adults that are allowed to be out in these places. So, and some parents are not concerned about where their children are. Some of them are glad the children are not at home, but those are your children. You had those children. Nobody else had those children. And you have an obligation and responsibility to make sure you raise your children to be productive citizens. I'm not saying that your children are not going to do things that they shouldn't do. They are, because they're kids. But if you're making sure that you're instilling in them the right values and respecting others, respecting other people's property is another thing. You have some kids that just come and just pick up something and steal it and don't think anything of it. No, that does not belong to you. So those are basic values of things that we have to instill in them are very, very important. So a lot of times, like I said last time, I have discussions with the students about current events and things that are actually taking place. And I definitely want to be able to give a shout out to the educators. Those educators that are out there that are in the trenches, it's almost like y'all in wartime in these classrooms, because you're having to compete with social media, that those kids are coming from different backgrounds and homes. They're also coming with different values. You also have to deal with parents who sometimes don't believe that their children are doing things wrong, and they think that you are against their children. So you're having to compete with all that. And then don't talk about the amount of responsibility from the state, from the federal, and even from your school district that's required for you just as an educator. And then you only have so much time to try to make sure these children are learning. So my hat's off. I don't have on a hat, but if I did, I would tip it to the educators. And y'all definitely deserve raises, way more than what you already received. Significant pay raise. And you need more resources and more support for you in these classrooms. And I appreciate all that you do for our children, who are our future leaders of our state and our world. And if we don't instill into them that they can be leaders, some of them already show those qualities. And so if we can continue to instill into them that they are leaders, then we will have good leaders. I don't want to be getting ready to draw my retirement and I'm going and my caseworker can't read or can't calculate how much money I'm supposed to be getting for my retirement, all because they didn't get what they needed in school. And if the parents do not respect the educators, the children will not respect the teachers either. And that is true. I've heard some kids tell me, well, this is what my mother said. And I have to tell, well, your mother's not here at this school. And these are the rules we have up here. And I don't mind having a conversation with your mother or your father, let them know these are the rules. And that whatever you do at home, you can't do that here at the school, because we have to be mindful of the safety of all the children. So parents, don't go up to the school trying to cuss out the teacher. And don't all the time you have to believe that sometimes there are maybe some educators, but they're slim, that may be picking on your child a little bit. But first, make sure that your child is doing what he or she is supposed to be doing. And that they're coming prepared to school every morning to learn. Even some of the kids, I said, you know what? I don't think you coming to school today to learn. And sometimes they say, no, Mr. Stovall, I'm not feeling well today. Or can I regroup myself? I always tell them to self-redirect when they start getting out of hand. Because sometimes they need it. We as adults need it. But parents, I'm not getting off of this right here, this soapbox. Parents, where are you? Who is influencing your children? They are mimicking you and that environment when they come to school or they participate in extracurricular activities. We're looking at the parents. Like my dad used to always tell us, you represent me every time you leave out that door. And I better not get a bad report of saying that my child or my mom and dad used to say, my children doing anything. But, you know, we have parents that don't discipline their children. So, you know, we're almost getting to the end. And guess what? We have that say what segment. But parents, in closing on that part, is stay vigilant. You have to stay active in your children's and what they're doing. Know who's on their phone. Know who they're talking to. Set a limit on how long those kids can talk on the phone. They shouldn't be, if they're in middle school, they shouldn't be talking on the phone after 9 o'clock. Who are they talking to? They need to be getting ready for school the next day. But so you can't get a phone and social media and those advice to those kids and walk away. No, because they're children. They're always inquisitive. They're always trying to find out what's going on, or they say, why this, why that? And you say, because I said so. Some of those kids, that's not enough for them. They need to know some more details. And so you have to establish that relationship with your children, that they know when mama or daddy say no, no means no. Not no right now, okay, I'm gonna change my mind. No, these children a lot of them need discipline. And they're not getting in at home, parents. They're not getting in at home. Grandmama, granddaddy, auntie, uncle, cousin, all of you all, it takes a village to raise a child. So it's not just the parent. Many times parents have good support base who were able to get on those kids. When my son would act up, I had my dad, I had my sister, my brother-in-law, my mom, my sisters, everybody would get on him to make sure that he knows not only that he needs to act right, but that he's loved. And many of our kids do not get that they are loved. So let's get into our Say What segment. So I want to know, is there a rift between two statewide Democratic candidates? Does the Democratic Party of Georgia really support all the Democrats on the ballot like they tell the public? Well, recently, there was an article in Marietta Daily Journal about an event that was hosted by the gubernatorial candidate Abrams, which some of the Democrat candidates were invited to speak, except for one who was not invited to speak. Although she was present there, she was not given the stage to allow to speak, but this is for Democrats, right? Okay, Alicia Thomas Searcy, who's the state superintendent candidate, was at the event, this unity event, but was not allowed to speak or address the crowd. Say what? Yeah. So you all are saying, hey, we united as this party. United according to who or whom? Yeah, y'all better pay attention. I tell you all the time to open up your eyes. Do not just vote for somebody because they're part of a party. You better investigate and see what's really going on. And what happened was when her supporters questioned her, this is Alicia Thomas Searcy. She was a guest on my show last season as state superintendent, very qualified to be able to hold that seat. We served on the education committee together, and in full disclosure, she was one of my mentors as a legislator at the Capitol. And we shared the same things when it came down to parents having choice in what type of education they should have for their children in Georgia. And so she wasn't allowed. But if it's a Democratic event and we're saying we all on a Democratic ticket together, we want you to vote down ballot, something about that just not right. So I just want to tell you, is it really one Georgia or one Georgia for who is elected by those running the party? Say what? Yes, I know y'all didn't probably hear about that one, but yeah, it's out there. Pay close attention and you'll see they're not as united as they're saying they are. So that's why you got to select the candidate that you feel is going to be best serving you and that is closely aligned to what you think are important issues for you. And so, yeah, so there's another question of the gubernatorial candidate Abel's presence on the South side. That means the south of I-20. I've heard a lot of people asking me, I said, I don't know. You know, if you're running for a statewide, you got to be everywhere. I know when I was running, I was trying to be everywhere. I don't have the money like some of them having their coffers and still raising money. So if the person cannot show up at your event and can't answer your question, why are you going to vote for them? Because they're what? A part of a party? No, because guess what? If they don't answer you now, you best believe 100% of the time, they're not going to answer you when they get into office. And that's what's called taking people's votes for granted. You want because of my color, my skin, I'm going to vote for you? No. Or because I'm a part of a certain party? No. I'm going to vote for somebody because they're the best person to be elected and that they're going to serve what I see my needs are compared to what they want to do. So I wanted to say that say what, but it was very, very disturbing. But I already knew it was going to happen. I was just waiting. It was just a matter of time. So you all be careful about who you vote for and who you out here advocating for, because they might not be advocating for the same people that you want to see in office. Another thing, I did want to give a congratulations to a dear friend of mine. His name is Paul, and I don't know what's going on with this noise. His name is Paul, and he received his naturalization paper as to be a U.S. citizen. So that was my first time going through an experience like that. I never, I was born here, so I know nothing about what immigrants go through in order to get citizenship. So it was a very, very nice ceremony. Of course, I couldn't see it because of COVID. I had to wait till, you had to wait till the people come outside. But we took pictures, and y'all can go and check out my Facebook page. We took pictures, and it was exciting because I was helping him to take the citizenship test. And some of that stuff, I was like, boy, if they ask a regular citizen this, they have to take a whole lot of people's citizenship. So that's another say what. You all ought to Google U.S. citizenship immigration test and see how many of them 100 questions that you could get right. But yeah, so that's part of the process. So it's always good to see government working like it's supposed to when it works with citizenship and those who want to come here to America freely and want to be a part of the American concept and American government. So congratulations, Paul, and to all of those who have gained their citizenship. Yes, the axe handle was made of wood because the forests kept disappearing because the trees throughout the axe was one of them. Right, so a lot of times You all believe that some people are part of you or for you, but they're not for you. And so you got to keep your eyes open on that. But I did see that there were some other people that gained their citizenship with President Carter's 98th birthday. And so they did a citizenship celebration for all of those individuals as well. So congratulations to you all. And those of you all who are trying to get your citizenship, keep in there, keep hanging in there. Eventually and hopefully you'll be able to gain your citizenship. All right, we've rounded down the time. So I have some announcements. So of course, last episode, I told you about me being a co-presenter for Making the Connection. What's the 411 Clayton County? And so, of course, we meet twice a month, and we'll be doing that until February 2023. Our next virtual meeting will be held tomorrow at 6:30. And the topic is going to be, where is the money at? Yeah, I know y'all might say, you're not supposed to put at a preposition at the end of a sentence of a question. Well, where is the money at? How are you impacted by governmental budgets? And so it's going to be interesting because we're going to talk about taxes, we're going to talk about fees, and we also have presenters. So Jonesboro City Manager Ricky Clark and Jonesboro City Finance Director Nina Robinson and Georgia House Budget and Research Deputy Director Christine Murdoch will also will be presenting tomorrow, telling us about how the local government structure works when it comes to budget. So Jonesboro will be taking us through the budget process on the city, which is your local level. And then we are honored to have Deputy Director Christine Murdoch on the state level. Now, you all know that state budget is huge. And that's one of the only thing that's constitutionally required by representatives and senators for the state reps and state senators are passing a balanced budget. And that balanced budget means that you don't have more coming in than you have going out. And it has to equal out at the end of that session. And so there are two budgets, of course, that the legislative body votes on. The amended budget, which is done early in February. And then the new fiscal year budget is usually done by the end of closing of the legislative session. And so these processes are important because that's your taxpayer money. You pay taxes, but you don't know where your taxpayer money going to. And you say, I'm a taxpayer, but you don't even know anything about where your taxes are going. So yeah, you're a taxpayer, but you're an uninformed taxpayer. So definitely, if you're interested in joining us on tomorrow for this particular workshop, you can send me an email at contact@gostovall.com, and I will send you an invite to come in and listen. It's going to be good information. Some stuff I know and a lot of stuff I don't know. So I'm going to be learning as well, along with the other people that have registered and participated in our program. And then guess what? Our next meeting next month, this month, our second meeting, we will be going to visit the Clayton County Commissioners meeting, board meeting. So they actually get a chance to see what happens during the county commissioner meeting. Now, last month, we took them to Sugar Hill City Council meeting up in Gwinnett County. Yeah, that was a long ride. I was going on a field trip, but it was very educational, and I appreciate Brandon Hembry, Mayor. He's the mayor, Mayor Brandon Hembry, for giving us a warm welcome. He gave me a time to speak during the council meeting, and I can tell you that's very unusual. Usually, most council meetings, if you're not a resident or a business owner, they do not allow you time to speak on the agenda. So I appreciate that. My good friend, Mayor Hembry, and the city council and all the staff were very warm welcoming. They even allowed the young people to have a place on the agenda to give a report as a youth commission. So they're now, you see, when you look at areas like that, and you wonder why in certain communities that we live in, that we don't have good youth leaders. Well, that's because it starts with the adult leaders. And if we don't give the youth an opportunity, a chance, and to train them, then we're setting ourselves up for failure. Because guess what? Some people can stay in those elected positions too long. And I know a lot of them, they need to be going home, sitting down, retired, and don't need to be elected anymore. But when you fail to be able to train the next generation of leaders up, because you want to covet it, keep your position for you, then you fail our whole society and you fail our communities. Because now, if something happens to you, now that new leader has to start from scratch when they should not have to. And that is the responsibility of a leader, is to be able to now make and encourage new leaders as well. So I want to say that, so you all are welcome. Contact at GoStovall.com. We're going to have a good time listening to about that budget and about those impact of those fees, the SPLOS, the loss, and I don't think we have a most, which is municipal option sales tax. But you'll get a chance to learn all those topics. You know, we have motel, hotel taxes, and those are taxes that whenever you rent, go to a motel or hotel in a particular area, that extra tax that you all say, oh, it's just too much to be paying for a room. Well, some places have higher taxes, and that money goes back either to the tourism, and portion goes back to the city or the county. Or it depends on where it's located. So there are a lot of things that happens with your tax money and that you don't know about. And so we're going to be taking our time to make sure we're making the connection and giving the information to 411 for those that are in Clayton County. But like I said, if you're interested and you want to attend, let me know, and I can send you the link to come in and join us. All right, of course, the time has caught us. Oh, I know. We had so much information. Parents, where are you? Where are the parents? Who is influencing your children? And you got to make sure, I can't stress enough, that you're staying on top of what's going on with your children. Now, coming up next month, of course, we will be starting our Georgia single parent nominations again for 2023. So if you know of a single parent, male or female, who lives in Georgia, then be on the lookout. And as I make announcements, to make sure you're nominating that person. Everybody that's nominated ends up getting an award. Some get a special award, but everybody, if someone nominates them, that means they took the time and they really felt that they deserve to be acknowledged as a single parent. And as you know, that was my second bill that I was able to author, and it was signed into law in 2018. And that is House Resolution 279. You can Google it, House Resolution 279. Georgia Single Parent Day is designated as March 21st of every year in the state of Georgia. And so we'll be having our planning committee meeting this month to talk about what things we want to see for 2023 and how to get more single parents involved in what we're doing. And so if you're interested, contact at GoStovall.com, send me an email, and we would love to have you. I want to give a special shout out to Wardell Richardson, who was a 2023 finalist for a 2022 finalist for the Georgia Single Parent Award. He's one of our co-hosts on WCEG Talk Radio, and he has it's not Hollywood, it's a special name, but it's got wood in it. Hopefully, WCEG Wood, yes. And so, and he has a very good show. I've been a guest on his show. I'm not sure he's been a guest on mine, but we got to make that happen. And Hollywood of the South, that's his show. So we're excited about Wardell. We got a chance to meet his daughter. Very wonderful, especially when you see dads who are single parents. Now, mothers, you know, we always going to take care of the children, but when you have dads that step up to the plate to being single parents, we have to stand up and give them a standing ovation, pat them on the back, and encourage them, because it's not easy for a dad to be a single parent, especially in society, the way things are set up here in America. So congratulations, Wardell Richardson. We appreciate and so happy that you were able to receive your award for being a Georgia single parent. All right. Of course, time has called us. I know y'all know I love to talk, but I'm going to have to stop because there's some other great shows coming on after I get off. But don't fret, we will be back on November the 7th. I know it's almost got to wait that long, but it's going to be okay. Is it no? Is it? Hold on, I think I come back before then. October 17th. See, I already got into November, y'all. So we'll be back October the 17th for another exciting and informative show for you all. But the goal of Issues and Answers with yours truly, Honorable Valencia Stovall, is to educate you on those things you might not think about unless you are in a situation to be concerned. And all these things, parents, where are you? Who is influencing your children? You have to be concerned about those things because they affect you every day. And if you have any show ideas or someone you would like to see me to interview, then let me know. Send me an email at contact@gostovall.com. And also early voting. You all know all about that voting. This is a major election year, even though it's midterm, which means it's midterm from the presidential. But it's our gubernatorial. We have all these statewide officers that are up for election. So you all need to go to your www.mvp.sos.ga.gov to look at your ballot, get your sample ballot, go ahead and mark your ballot so you'll know who you're going to vote for before you get in that booth. You could go and research these people to see what they're talking about, reach out to them. Don't just let them take your vote for granted. So early voting is October 17th, and election, early voting starts October 17th. You have your absentee ballots, request application, you go ahead and start sending those in so that you can get your ballot and you can be able to mail it back in. Election is November the 8th. Everybody said November the 8th. November the 8th. Yeah, that's the last day. It's no election, but your last day to register is October the 11th. October the 11th. So if you have not registered by then, it's important to make sure that you are registered. Now, you cannot go vote at your precinct or at any precinct if you're not registered. So you need to check your status. www.mvp.sos.ga.gov, or you can just Google My Voter Page, Georgia, My Voter Page. So you can make sure you know where to go vote. You cannot go vote anywhere. Even with early voting, you have specific places that you have to go in your county. So you have to do your research to make sure you go to the right place to make sure your vote will be counted. Early voting, October 17th. Last day to register to vote, October the 11th. And election day, November the 8th. This is local and state elections. And so some have special elections, like the city of South Fulton has a special election. And I want to give a shout out to Linda Pritchett, who's in that special election. A wonderful person I know will do a great job. She's all continuing to work. And so, and y'all that's in that particular area, make sure you check out Linda Pritchett. And I think I might have asked her to come on the next session, next segment. But anyway, you all enjoy yourself, be safe. And until October the 17th, when we see you again, thank you so very much for joining us on Issues and Answers with yours truly, Honorable Valencia Stovall. Thank you.